Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, cats, dogs, squirrels, bunnies, welcome back to the CCL, the Bravo stream here, and we've got more action on the way. Campbert, joined by Mick, just saw a great one there with our first match of the night. It was UNC of Wilmington picking up the win over VCU. They punched their ticket to the tournament. Now another winner-go-home matchup. This time it's Northwood versus Miami. Mick, these two teams played each other to end split 2. It was about a week ago when they last played. It went to round 11 in game 5. If that tells you anything, we should be in for a great series.
Yeah. I mean, and just look at these guys so far and how they play. Look at the maps, the modes, the setups, everything that's laid out in front of us. It's looking like it could be another map 5, to be completely honest with you. With the way the thing, it just looks like it's going to be back and forth all night overall. And I mean, I know you could sit there and ask me. I know it's a popular question here on the caster desk to ask us what we could expect to see from each team. My whole thing is I don't know exactly what I could call out ahead of time to really show what's going to turn the tides into whose favor.
Yeah, last time they played, they did play Moscow Hardpoint. They did play Moscow Search and Destroy. Both of those maps and modes will be in this series if we can get there. Well, we have Moscow in map 2, map count up above us on the screen, but it's going to start in Garrison Hardpoint. 5-5 for the Redhawks on Garrison Hardpoint, 2-3 for Northwood. Last time they played the series, it was a 3-2 win for Northwood. They picked up the first map. It was a Moscow Hardpoint. We could be seeing that in map 4. But overall, Miami, the Redhawks, is not Miami of South Beach, Miami of Ohio. They are the better search and destroy team, so they're going to definitely be falling back on that. They did win the Moscow Search last time they played 6-2. So it feels like for Northwood, it's going to be huge here to come out, win the respawn, get yourself off on the right foot.
Yeah, I mean, and even looking at how these guys perform, I mean, Miami, they just overall have a better look when it comes around to hardpoint. These guys, when it comes down to respawns, they just seem to not be afraid to utilize what life is given to them, especially if they have infinite at their disposal, being very upfront, getting the kills, doing a very good job of fragging. I'm not going to say by any means they're like gods at the game when it comes around to hard point, but they do definitely sit there and make a name for themselves when it comes around to this hard point. And I mean, their time split up it's very good between two of their players overall. When you look at the likes of Wraith and Calby, so I mean, these two guys alone, if you don't find a way to sit there and lock them out, if you don't find a way to just keep fragging the whole team and set them up on the opposite side of the map from where you want them to be, I mean, that alone is just going to sit there and go ahead and create a huge deficit for your team.
Absolutely. And for Miami, it's going to be so crucial to win at least one of these two first maps, because if it goes to control, if Northwood is up 2-0, they're 11-3 in that game mode. They really would have a good chance to close it out in 3. For Miami, okay, maybe you could squeak out the hard point, but really going to be focused on them in the search and destroy as well. After winning 6-2 the last time these two teams played on Moscow Search and Destroy, you have to be expecting they could do it again. If it goes to Miami in game 5, Northwood has not played that map and mode yet this entire year. For the Redhawks, they're 3-3 on it, so they'd have the experience in their back pocket. Really could be looking at a very interesting series. Like I say, last time they played, it went to round 11 in game 5, so we'll be hoping, we have fingers crossed that could happen again. But to take a look at some of the rosters, Mick, and we always are focusing in on the captains for teams. On one side, you have the captain that doesn't play for the Redhawks. It's really Gutsy Khan, who's kind of the go-to guy in terms of kill-death ratios. And then for Northwood, you got Smitzy as we jump in to the action.
Yeah, and especially seeing how these guys start off on Garrison, just seeing, looking at Northwood having such a strong start, not only in frags, but just, overall establishment, seeing their guys already set up for this next site, going ahead and just locking around the map and finding a way to look forward and seeing the bigger picture. I like what I'm seeing so far, and I'm interested to see how they execute it.
3 kills in the feed for Miami. That's going to be good to get them on the point. They will be in the white on your minimap. Northwood rocking with the blue arrows, as it will be Garrison here where the battle starts. And right now, looking to get control of these power positions. Slushy makes a big read to climb up onto top floating. Q-Pan finding 2 on the point. It's going to be good to continue to get this scrap time, but you got to turn your focus to the next kill. You got Kick You coming around the back end. He's trying to make a big play for his team to get spawns, but Rando's going to cut him down. So these players for Northwood are going to be flooding through a green. All 3 able to climb up on in. They find the kill. The opening could be there, but you got these sight lines being held down by Miami, not letting anybody onto the point. Slushy trying to slow down Calby. It is going to be Northwood finding the initial time, but the battle is about to rage on for P2. Slushy finding one more. Bleep is going to be here to hold on to it, and it's going to be a solid hold for Northwood.
Yeah, I mean, that alone, just having a way to retaliate, getting themselves back onto this side. I mean, Miami had a great break there for a minute, just finding their way on to P2, finding a way to fight a little bit, picking up that scrap time on P1. Only issue is you're going to be sacrificing a little bit too much in the later stages. So seeing how these guys kind of let up on this, we now see Northwood taking advantage of that, going ahead on this P2, and especially with how it's going to be cross-map going forward, they're going to have a lot more kind of momentum going around this P3 as we see the Kiku ready to go ahead and, lock his sights on these guys.
Solid hold there on the money hill for Northwood. And it's an interesting situation where you see these players in 1 and 3. They've rotated, yes, but you're really giving them Miami free lanes to run up to get to the next point, where you probably could have met them a little closer towards mid-map. Instead, they're just going to go for the full rotation, try to get these spawns for their team as we go to P3. Big kills, though, either way. Bleepa finding 2. Slushies here to help out. It doesn't need it. Bleepa finds the 3rd. That's going to be good for spawns. It's going to be good for control of the hard point. This is an opportunity to extend a lead.
Oh, easily. I mean, a clean sweep right there, especially when you have Bleepa at the forefront of that. I mean, a great shot by these guys overall, just locking this out, especially when they already had this time with the way the sites and the way the spawns are set up here on P3. I mean, obviously, not having enough guys on that side is going to be the kicker when you only have one man to get it locked down, and only issues when he gets picked off, you have free time. So that alone, if they don't find some time here real quick, find a way to get on the site and hold it down, I mean, that's going to sit there. As we said, those smaller little points here and there are going to add up over time.
Huge stuff. Stringing them together now is Northwood as they get another solid chunk of time there on P3. Although, got to make your push out to P4. They're actually able to flip the spawns on Miami. That's the last thing you want. You got 8 spawning out. He's going to have to make a run. His teammates are going to be in control of top green. All of a sudden, a battle for the next hill starting to take place. Q-Pan could be in a big spot, though. Coming in from behind. The shots into Bleepa. He can't finish it off. Is going to get the second. Trying to get the shots on to Kiku. He's got him. Bleepa the 3rd piece. Oh, my goodness. Q-Pan turning up with that dragon skin. Going to be good to get his team on the hill. Big openings, and it's going to be the less favorable spawns for Northwood.
Man, Q-Pan out here with the coupons. Man, sit there and had a 3-for-1 and went ahead and redeemed that joker over here on this site. I mean, especially with how controversial this site is overall, P4 being very hard to take control of, seeing how close it is. Having that upper hand, the kind of whole mountain to play off of, that little upper room there, to get an eye's view over everything. I mean, when you don't exactly get the chance to play into that, and you can still find some picks off here and there to lock these guys out, that's going to be huge and monumental going forward. Only issue is Miami hasn't had the time nor the players on these sites to manipulate these picks that they're getting, and therefore that's still what's going to put them behind here by 40 seconds.
Both teams picking up some time there. How about Bleepa, who's been red hot, going on a 6 kill streak? Can he get a couple more to pick up that artillery, maybe that cruise, pushing up towards the spawns, long sight lines, got the shot onto Calby, good for the artillery. Now looking for the cruise. Q-Pan's going to be there. Does he have a coupon to throw into the ring here as his team is on the point? They extend the lead. Bleepa's just trying to play his life and get this next streak. He's going to get it onto Calby. Wraith's there for 2. Absolutely turning up right now. 17-7 on a 9 streak is Bleepa. What the Bleepa is going on? Good nade there to pick up some information. Smartly going to play his life and back up. His team's been all over the point. Northwood extending the lead almost up to 70 here on P5. We're going to have another rotation upcoming. But for Miami, it just feels like a half step behind. Wraith down there at double negative. Probably needs to turn things up. Still, this one's not out of reach just yet.
Oh, no, definitely not. I mean, especially looking at how these guys are kind of maneuvering themselves around the map. We see them already getting ready for these next sites, trying to hold down this mid-map control as best as possible. Northwood getting the best picks right there, but Calby doing a very good job of buffing that out alone. I mean, issue is when you're on this P1, looking how these guys are kind of locking them out. You have a couple breaks here for Miami, getting onto this site and finding a little bit of seconds here and there. Only issue is, I mean, when you're locked into the site, I mean, every single time with how the spawns are set up, once you get a pick, you're going to be reset all the way down there to the back, and it really just comes down to who's quicker to get back to where you left off.
Saw last time how Miami was able to grab a solid chunk on P1, but they kind of were a little late rotating to P2. Northwood was able to get on the money hill and really extend a lead. Probably want to make a different push this time if you're the Redhawks. They have control of top green. They are going to have control of P2. Just trying to pick up some of these kills on P1. But those 3 right there for Northwood are going to be huge. An opportunity to move forward on the map. Puts a lot of pressure on Calby here as the only player holding down the rotation. Going to get some shots into Bleepa. Is going to finish that kill. Can he get the second? Yes, he can. And the third with the Diamante is coming through as well. Calby lighting it up and an 8 kill streak. Good enough to get his cruise missile as well. That's going to be massive for Miami. They're back onto this money hill, a chance to make their way back into this game.
Yeah, Calby, I mean, you know what they said. I mean, Cali is short for caliber. I mean, this man obviously knows his way around a gun, and he's here to prove it. Getting those kills right there, just doing a great job of clearing out that side overall. I mean, especially when you had the likes of Bleepa with those skill streaks, you're trying to sit there and buff that as best as possible. And when you know he drops it, you're going to say, you know what? I'll show you one as well. And finding a way to get themselves back on the side, knowing that they're the second one to drop it out. I mean, that's going to reset your team. Meanwhile, your guys are running back on the side, and you're going to get the better trade overall. And that alone is going to play into the whole favor of Miami going forward, and easily going to give them these next two sides as long as they can find their way onto P3 with how rough it is to make this transfer from P2 to P3.
We have to stay on board with Calby right now because the man is turned up. A 12 kill streak has nearly forced himself to double positive in just this life alone. But the lead starting to get away from his team here, has to continue to keep this red hot play up if he wants his team to win this map. Getting off the point is Northwood because here come the streaks from the artillery. Calby finds one. Team kill doesn't help. Kikyu's going to clean him up and slow down that streak. And the spawns are still going to be close for Northwood. This is a huge moment where they can really put this game into the closing moments. For Miami, it starts to be a desperate time where you have to get a break. Pushing in his Q-Pan. Slushy finding the kills. Bleepa's finding two as well. It's 2 kills from both of the Krigs of Northwood. This final 30 seconds is going to be good to push them really close to the win. But you still have to make this push out to the next hard point. It just feels like, though, for Miami, this lead almost too much to overcome.
Yeah, unfortunately, especially, I mean, Calby, he had the great artillery strike right there. He just hasn't found as much when it comes around to these score streaks. We saw him only get 2 compared to the full wipe that was from Northwood there with their Pred missile. You saw the artillery strike not exactly be utilized to its full extent on P3, being, in my opinion, the easiest side to manipulate that artillery strike with. And they just didn't really follow through with it. And that alone, with Northwood still having a hold after utilizing those streaks overall, I mean, that's just going to be real killer. You don't feel like you made really too much progress, and you're just wasting more time. And that alone is just going to be more time for Northwood to get ahead and look like they can close it out on this point alone right here.
Yeah, 3 seconds left. Miami forced to run right into the gunfire of Northwood. They are going to close it out in map 1. Pretty commanding victory, 250 to 122. There were some moments for Miami that looked promising. Calby with the 13 kill streak in the middle there. But in the end, it's just not enough to force his team to the victory. Instead, the team play for Northwood is good for the dub. They take map 1. We'll go to a Moscow search and destroy. And I said it at the start, right? For Miami, you might expect that loss in the first hard point, but you're really banking on your search and destroy. It's what got you to game 5 last time. You're going to have to do it again here.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, that alone, they definitely showed they had the slaying power. I don't know about the rotations and the way to hold down the side, but we definitely saw the likes of, Q-Pan, and we saw Calby, just both those guys go absolutely off, get a couple of streaks here and there. And when you bring that to the likes of Search and Destroy, utilizing your lives that you have and making the most of them, even if you sit there and try and keep them as low as possible, when you actually have to stay conscious and make sure that your life is going to count because you only have so many to deal with, that alone is going to play in your favor. That's the right mentality going forward for Search and Destroy and Control. And I mean, that could be an easy little play right there when it comes to the attitude of Miami going forward and helping them out, especially in the likes of Moscow when you have so much space to play with. It feels a lot like a much bigger playground than you have on Garrison. And I think they're looking forward to these next couple matchups when they sit there and see what's coming up for them.
It's a must win for Miami, without a doubt. I mean, Northwood has been so strong in Control, 11-3 in that mode. If it goes there and they have a chance to just end it in 3, it's going to be tough for Miami. So really, really have to hunker down and win this Search and Destroy. But the good thing, they're 5-1 on Moscow Search and Destroy. Mentioned that these teams played not long ago. It was Miami winning it 6-2 in the Moscow Search and Destroy. So they should be confident going into this next map. Not only did you win it over Northwood, but you won it 6-2. Like you said, they showed off some of that firepower just in map 1. You saw Q-Pan and Calby really lighting it up. So there's plenty of momentum to build from and positives to take into this match, but it's just a matter of putting the action to the words and performing once it starts. I think for Northwood, though, I mean, they seem to be the underdogs coming into the Search and Destroy at 9-10. They're 4-3 on Moscow Search and Destroy. What are you looking at in this next one coming up, Mick?
I'm looking at slaying power. I know I like to point out rotations a lot. I like to figure out how these guys play around the map, but I feel like a lot of these teams are going to sit there and go, A. Okay, we're on round, 9, 10. Let's go. Let's hit A. round 11. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Let's throw a curveball their way. Let's hit A, just a little slower though. I mean, these guys, they're just going to want to sit there and slay out as best as possible. They know how to play the map out. They know how to play a little bit more tempo because we saw them play a little bit slower when it came around to hard point, but still actually get a pretty darn good amount of kills. So by no means are they sleeping or are they not playing the game. They're just playing it a little bit slower than you would expect. And I think when it comes around, especially in the likes of Moscow, you have so much more field to play with. As long as you can lock down your opponent, let them go ahead and stack on one site and let them do that the whole game and know that they're going to be trying to read you later on. I feel like Miami's going to feel really comfortable in that space and, kind of let Northwood play into their hands and kind of almost trap them in a sense.
Last time these two teams played, it went to game 5, and they traded the hard points. They traded the search and destroys. It was Northwood who won the swing control, enough to close out the series for them. Getting ready for Moscow search and destroy up next. Miami trying to even up the series, and they should have a good chance to do it again. This is their map and mode to fall back on. You mentioned how going to A is kind of what we see so often in Moscow. Teams become comfortable with that.
Yeah.
We have seen a little bit of evolution throughout the history of the game now. Teams getting more comfortable on all search and destroy maps with the off-bomb site. We'll definitely pay attention to whichever team can kind of make use of B, but I absolutely agree with you. A seems to be the favorable site for almost every team.
I mean, trust me, I'm fully here for evolution. I mean, a lot of people believe that's how we got to where we are right now. We wouldn't be playing COD without it. The only thing is, I mean, you got to sit there. I mean, when you play into the B site, you play the game a lot slower, and I feel like neither one of these teams are really too adjusted to that whole game plan. I don't feel like it would be utilized very efficiently, and I feel like it's going to be messy when we see this right here.
Already, Miami opting to go towards mid. Calby with the slip up, presses the wrong button. His teammate Rando says, I can help you out. 2, though, from Northwood, and that's going to put an end to that round pretty quickly. So an unfortunate mishap results in the defense taking round 1, and they didn't waste any time doing it. A couple kills here from the Kriegs were good. So in the first round, they opt to not go to A. They go to B, but the defense was ready for it there. Northwood had 2 players home by the globe, and they're able to pick up the kills. So we'll see if that continues for Miami when they go back on offense, but we'll switch sides right now.
Hey, man, call me crazy. I said it was going to be messy. As soon as those words come out of my mouth, we see man slip up and melee a window that ain't even there. I mean, let's be real here. That was called. I mean, as we're going to see from this point out, I think these guys are going to sit there and say, you know what, maybe we should have gone B. Maybe we'll just keep on hitting A from here on out. That's what we're looking at right now.
Already some unorthodox setups after Miami heads towards mid and B. Northwood's going to do the same thing. Very slow, though, as they make their push through. Don't want to be spotted out and go down as first blood. Instead, they're going to cut this one up the escalators to A. Calby's about to have a whole deal of hurt to pay attention to. These players sliding on out. They find the kill onto him. That's a huge opening, but his teammate Wraith goes with the nade. 3v2 becomes a 2v2. Putting more shots down, these players are able to get away with their lives, and it's an opportunity to make a quick rotation over to B.
Yeah, I think, we see the guys right there. We saw Wraith kind of holding it back. This man's playing it pretty slow, trying to hold out that site. But I love the way Northwood's playing this. They sat there, make it look like they're rotating around to A. They sit there and say, they sit there, seem like they're going to B. You get Rando and the guys both split up, trying to check for both sides. And, instead they just circle it back around and find a way to just be super slick with that. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that's incredible stuff. And I think what's so key there for Northwood, they're bouncing between the sites. You're keeping the defense guessing at the beginning.
Yeah.
They're in mid. Instead, they go up to A, then they go to B, then they come back to A. If you're if you're Miami, you're just like, where are these guys right now? It's impossible to keep a read on them, but huge plays there in the end for Northwood. They're going to go up 2-0 now. And is either of these teams even going to go to A, or are they just so outside the box thinking that they just keep going to B into mid? Lipa's up to 3-0. We'll see what Miami tries to do here. After the B hit doesn't work, it looks like they're going to go back to square one to push header over towards A.
Yeah, maybe this is what we're going to see for the rest of the match. You better get comfy on that A side because we're going to see it for a while here. I can tell you that much. But, see how it's playing out right now. Ooh.
The gunfights are just going to absolutely pop off. That's pretty much how it goes at A. Big old trade battle goes down, but Miami wins it. They have the 3-1 life advantage, and Slushy wasn't here. He's having to rotate over. It's going to be an interesting retake situation. Rando's playing down in mid. These two players are going to buddy up. They get the eyes laid onto him. Slushy's going to find the first. Calby pushes on up.
Oh,
Exactly what to do. Good job playing the trade. And I mean, if he gets that kill, yes, it definitely becomes interesting with Rando playing near mid. Either way, it's good stuff from the offense. Miami, yeah, it seems like they should continue to go to A.
yeah. I mean, that's exactly what these guys need, especially with seeing the only time that, the other sides were played. I mean, that's where they lose. You see Northwood, they were on the offense. They had the bomb. They seemed like they were rotating. I mean, I still got to get props to that play. I mean, as a player, even as I still can't fathom the fact that they were even going for that, because if I was in the shoes, I'd sit there. I mean, obviously Miami could have played a little bit scared, grouped up there, but I mean, just they got to keep eyes on everything. But I mean, just going forward, I mean, we're going to see these A hits a lot, and it's just going to be adaptability on this one tiny little playground.
Rafe with the aggression is going to draw first blood. Q-Pan as well. Calby there for his trade. Leaves things quickly up to Slushy. He does scoop the bomb, but it doesn't matter. Somebody's waiting for him in mid. Great stuff out of Miami after letting the first 2 rounds slide. They come right back with 2 of their own, tie things up. And as we go back to offense for the Redhawks, have to expect them to go back to A, but who knows? Maybe they shake things up again and try B one more time. It just didn't work out in that first round. Either way, though, we get to a deadlock in the map count, or in the round count. We'll see if they switch things up. Probably going back to A if I had to guess.
There it is.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Oh,
the old
God,
phrase.
baby. There we go. But every single time, I mean, what it really comes down to, we see Northwood playing around this time, is the mid plays where just Miami closes things out just right off the bat with that double from Rando. But I mean, just looking at the mid, that's the huge contributing factor. We're going to see these guys duke it out every single time over on A side. They're going to play things very well, very quickly and aggressively. But these mid picks are really what turns the tides for one side or the other. And we can see that right now.
Right place, right time for Rando at the start of the round to find 2, but Smitsy's going to be there to clean him up. Information is very important here for Miami. They know these players are down in mid, but Q-Pan getting a little over-aggressive is going to go down as well. All of a sudden, this gets more interesting. 2v2. Not a lot of time to work with. Calby holding down this rotation. He's going to get the shots there. Lays a couple into the second player, but did he not realize it? Oh, my goodness, he's going to go away. 15 seconds to work with it for Smitsy. Got to find a couple kills. Calby says no.
Oh.
Big stuff from the Redhawks. It got a little interesting there. Northwood able to find a couple kills, but in the end, the defense holds strong. And we see at the start of the round, really what was a huge play from Rando, holding down this sight line. Both players chow out. That Krieg is just so strong. Huge first 2 kills. It's good enough to get Miami 3 straight wins after Northwood took the first 2. Now they go back on defense, a chance to even extend that a little more. See what Northwood have up their sleeves, though, as they go back onto the offensive side.
Yeah, by no means is Northwood slipping up right here. I mean, I feel like overall right there on that play over on the defense, just, I mean, you don't want to exactly line up your heads like that for the likes of, these guys for Rando to exactly line up. I mean, you're kissing your teammates the back of his head. Obviously, they need that emotional and mental support, but kissing their brain doesn't really do it like that, buddy. So, I mean, going forward, you have to sit there and realize where your teammates are facing and figure out how to play into that a little bit better and get that wider coverage.
Northwood really liking this Eskies push. It's not going to work this time. Rando finding another 2-piece with his Krieg. Q-Pan getting the third, and the last is going to fall as well, as the information is there. And that's just a huge adjustment. We talk about that in Search and Destroy all the time. It worked for Northwood last time they pushed up the Eskies. Rando says, I'm ready for it this time. I know you're going to be there. He's there to pick up the couple of kills. That's huge for the Redhawks. It's just a big adjustment like we talk about.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised at this stage of the game we haven't seen Northwood hitting up that B side a little bit more, because we see that every single time that Miami's been, I mean, I've noticed this just alone, when you see that every time that Miami is forced for that B side, whether they're on the offensive or whether they're on the defensive, once you throw that B side into their minds, they kind of break down. They don't know how to play the map fully. They don't know how to separate themselves out. And you just see these guys not exactly have as good coverage as they would usually. I mean, it's like going from Verizon to Sprint. You're not going to have as good coverage overall. And these guys they kind of don't exactly step up where they need to be. And seeing Northwood doing that now on the defenses, I feel like they're going to close this round out fairly easily with all the wild cards they got in the back of the map.
From Verizon to Sprint, can you hear me now? Northwood not hearing the fact that these players are planting B. Nobody's there. They're going to have an opportunity to set up. They're completely flipping the map around both teams. Defense pushes over to A, but the bomb gets planted at B. So we'll see what the post plant looks like. 4v4 retake for Northwood. Rafe is going to be ready for this push out of the apartment room. Shots are there. Getting hit by his teammate a little bit there. Has to be careful. And it's going to be first blood in favor of the team planting the bomb. Calby finds the second. Smitsy's there to make it a 3v2. There's the challenge again. Slushy falls as well. Miami, perfect stuff. And hey, I mean, it seemed like committed to A. They went there a couple times. After B doesn't work in the very first round, they do go back to it after all, and it works out for them. So credit to them.
And I'm actually surprised. I mean, if Northwood played that from the middle again, they once again kind of rotated around and came to the mid and got a flank from there. Being they flushed out from that B side, they would have had a much better chance there. Obviously, you know that these guys, they've sat there and gone A every single time. I think we've sat there and said it time and time again, right place, right time. Issue is for Northwood right there. It was the right place at the wrong time. If you'd set that up any earlier, if you'd adapted a little bit quicker and done that during one of those earlier rounds, that would have been executed perfectly, I believe. Only issue is when you're going ahead and you're flanking on the other side instead of coming up in the middle from Eskies, trying to shut off Rando there in the middle. I mean, that's where you really choke up. And speaking of choking up, we see just Miami completely giving up A this time around.
Some of the more unorthodox defensive setups in the last 2 rounds I've ever seen. Yeah, completely giving up A. It's not going to work more times than not. Not this time either. 2 kills already for Northwood. They have full control of the site. Calby has a couple streaks to work with, but I would think he's holding on to him because this one is not in your favor in terms of the probability. These 2 players going to push through together, lay down some shots into kick you, and the nade is there to clean it up. So that's a huge opening. Makes it 3v2. A Krieg and an SMG pushing forward. Have to do it together as these players all hanging out in a corner. Calby going to be the first one to jump on out. He's going to get the shots. Ray finds 2. Oh, and the third just won't happen as he goes down to low health. Big plays out of Northwood. They do close it out when it gets interesting. 5-3 becomes the score now. Miami will go back on offense.
I mean, this is what they need, though, if they're going to actually want to sit there and stand a chance going forward. You see Miami, they've sat there, thrown the wild card in at the exact perfect time when we saw in that last round. And I mean, now in this stage in the game, they have to sit there. Northwood cannot slip up at all. Otherwise, they will be looking at a 1-1 tie. And I mean, when you want to go ahead and see how these teams have traded out so far, they know that, I mean, they'll most likely be sitting comfortable in that control going forward. Only issue is you can either close this out right now by winning this, or you sit there and go back around that hard point. You go back around that second search and destroy, and you just wear yourselves out and chance a little bit more slip-ups.
Closeout round here for Miami again on offense. Bleepa laying down the fire, able to damage up a couple of these players. They're going to fly through, though. They're going to fall down to the submachine guns. Kick you there to find 2. And the final player will fall. So Northwood making their way back into this game. 2 straight rounds to make it 5-4. Redhawks have to be careful here. They try to go back to A, where they've been comfortable for the majority of this game. But Northwood is waiting for them. They're able to pick up the kills. And all of a sudden, down the stretch we go. Like you said, Miami trying to even up the series. Northwood trying to make it 2-0. And they're making it interesting here.
Yeah, and I think they could sit there and do it once again if they decided to opt for this B site, which, I mean, we saw them earlier try and play around it a little bit and not exactly had the most success, and I think that's going to be going right back to A. Only issue is Miami isn't going to slip up this time. They're going to be ready for it because they gave it up last time. This time around, it doesn't seem like they're going to opt for that.
It's going to be an all-out bloodbath at A. Once more, trades back and forth. Rafe's going to sneak on around here. He might be able to get in behind. The bomb going down. He's calling for his teammates to come help. Smitsy's going to be able to plant it. The post plant, 3v3. Q-Pan in from the flank. Should be able to get the shots onto Slushy, but unbelievable kill from Slushy. Rafe's there to trade it. 2v2 it becomes. Pushing through the apartments. Rando's able to find 1. All up to kick you here to try to force around 11. He finds the first kill. The second under Rafe is going to be there.
Oh my
God. Massive 2-piece to force round 11. Northwood go back to A. And we're headed the distance here, Mick. Unbelievable plays out of kick you.
I mean, unbelievable plays all around. I mean, we're at round 11 for the second game in a row, baby. That's something to celebrate alone. I mean, we got a good match on both of these teams. And like I've said, we've seen a lot of A plays so far. And every single time B's been thrown in, it's a wild card in itself because neither one of these teams have really expected it. And now that we see Northwood once again staying on the offense this time around, this is where they're probably going to throw that in and not even opting for A or B. Like I said earlier, going ahead and going in through the middle and just utilizing a totally new avenue overall.
They've gone to this Eskies push a couple times this game. It's worked once, it's failed once. This time, looking good to start. Bleepa finds the first blood. Miami going to be forced to react here. And don't forget that Calby's been sitting on the cruise missile. Here it comes. The initial barrage chasing after KQ will not land. So many skyscrapers to try to maneuver through. And he's not going to find any kills. Hit with the nade, has to backtrack. Full control at A for Northwood. They're going to get the bomb down.
Man, and especially looking at the likes of 4v3 with that bomb down. I mean, you got these guys in Miami on the pressure, sitting there not exactly on their toes, have to figure out what to do, and especially when you have that timer and you're going, dude, you got to make sure to speed the heck up. Otherwise, I mean, you got to sit there and be perfect about it. And we already see Calby slipping up at the clock.
Oh, that's just a crazy spot to be having to check. Northwood are going to win it. A 4-0 sweep in round 11. Wow. Come from behind win to go up 2-0 in the series. Ridiculous stuff. Calby, the cruise missile just doesn't come through to even the odds. And it's full control of A for Northwood. They take advantage and go up 2-0 in the series. And boy, we talked about it for Miami. Things aren't going to get much easier when we turn to the control. This has been the go-to mode for Northwood. They're 11-3 on the season so far in control. Man, what would have been a really interesting series now is starting to look like it could be a sweep for Northwood.
Yeah, looking a little ugly now, to be honest with you. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm here for it. I mean, we've seen it come back. We've seen these guys. We just saw Northwood come back from something, and I think Miami has the capability to do the same thing. Only issue is search and destroy. That's where you have that chance to do this kind of turnaround and do something. Only deal is now we're back to these respawns for back-to-back, and that's where things get a little rough, Chief. So, I mean, that going into that, I mean, obviously we're going to have a break before it. I mean, they're going to have a little bit of time to commute about that, but they got to figure out something quick or things are not going to be pretty going forward.
Yeah, a chance for Miami to get some water, maybe regain a bit. Same thing for you. Like you said, like Mick says, we're going to take a very short break before the control. And when we come back, we'll see if Northwood can close it out in 3 straight games, or can Miami retaliate and at least go to a second hard point. Don't go too far. We'll be right back here on twitch.tv/collegecodbravo. Welcome back, folks. Regional qualifiers. It's Northwood trying to close things out in 3 straight games. Miami back against the wall. Desperation time to try to extend this series. Talked about how they needed to win that search and destroy because Northwood is 11-3 in control so far this year, Mick.
Yeah, and that alone is just super threatening, especially if I'm in Miami's shoes. I'm definitely pretty scared right now, but they get a little bit easy going into it. They get defense right off the bat, and they want to make sure to maintain that distance. And getting that first 2 kills right there, but letting them get to trade it out. I want to say it was looking good right up front. Only issue is when you got that trade right there, it goes right back to square one.
Ooh, Calby, the shot's a little rough there. Isn't able to find a kill. Both of these players still menacing over at A. QPan has to be the next one up to try to slow him down. He's there for the contest as the first tick of progress has already come through. All 4 are going to be there. So he should be screaming to his teammates to get over to A. They are there. Rafe trying to make the pinch happen. Incredible movement, but no good with the shots. Spitzy finds the kill, and A has been captured for Northwood. Defense not looking great off the rip for Miami, but you still have 2 minutes to try to bring things back.
Yeah, and I feel like they have more than enough to work with right here. Only issue is giving up A that easily. That's really an issue for these guys, especially seeing, I mean, you got them riding your spawn. You see them, these guys on Northwood just holding you down back here, just picking them off from side to side. And you already still have teammates on this site for B and just holding it down. Only deal is Miami has a breath of air now. I mean, you guys see right there, they didn't let that first tick go all the way through. They have a little bit of breathing room, but when you're looking at side B instead of A, A's a lot harder to take, B's a lot easier. So that spells a little bit of disaster going forward, but Miami's holding it out pretty well right here with these picks.
Yeah, some huge kills there. 3 straight in the kill feed. Going to be good to try to gain some map control of their own. QPan falling to Smitzy, but Calby looking for his first kill of the game. Still hanging out down here. Has been red hot so far in this series, able to pick up streaks in the hardpoint and the search and destroy. Does get the 1, but goes down to Bleepa. And it's been more difficult for Northwood to push to B here after capturing A. Only a minute to work with. The lives still fairly even. Kick you again, trying to work towards the spawns. Big kill on the Calby. Trying to play his life in squares. QPan hanging out in the vent, finds 1. Still a little bit slow here as both of these teams trying to find their opening. Defense doing a good job right now as another great set of shots from QPan. will continue to slow down this push. Bleepa, though, will be the next one to come out of the vent room. And it's really just Northwood trying to put together a couple kills to find an opening to get to this point.
I gotta say, just great picks here on the side, especially seeing how Q-Pan is over here on the outside, just holding things out right there in the middle of the map, too, just kind of getting picks here and there, and seeing how these guys overall are just kind of maintaining this control. I mean, we saw them choking up. We saw them in a terrible situation when Northwood just kind of full stacking being in their spawn, and seeing how they come back from this. They're getting picks here and there with the double from Q-Pan. I mean, just that alone, I mean, I gotta admit, just the mentality to flip it up like that, that's one hell of an effort from these guys to go ahead and close out this defensive round.
This is impressive stuff for sure. After losing A at the start, it felt like Miami had no chance in this defense, but really regaining in every definition of the word. Now only 3 lives left for Northwood. Feels like Miami could put the cherry on top of this one. Calby finds another. It's a 7-kill streak. That's good for Streaks. Got to be careful here. If he can find that next one, it'd be good for the Cruise. Q-Pan's actually going to steal it. And the last player, the challenge comes through, and he gets it. So he's going to have the Cruise Missile and the Artillery. That's now 3 straight games where Calby has been able to get streaks for his team. This guy has been really impressive, and here he is in the kill cam.
Just great. Just look at him. Look at him. Just checking everything. Constantly going back and forth, being like, making sure I ain't got somebody behind my head, because we saw him earlier. I mean, we saw Northwood. They were just they were kind of kissing the back of each other's heads every here and there. And I think Calby, he's looking out for those picks and trying to get more streaks going forward. And I mean, that's the kind of mentality they need to have going forward on this offensive side, because you need to be checking everything, because you never know when one of those defensive players are going to be trying to go to those back lines, lock you guys out in spawn, especially seeing Northwood manage to do that for a little bit there on that offensive round. I mean, just seeing how these guys are playing, I think they had the right mindset going forward, and they could go ahead and win the control this time around if they can, secure this offense by any means.
Yeah, an incredible regain in the defensive round for Miami. After losing A to start, come all the way back and still win. Something you don't see often, because A, obviously, the more difficult of the 2 sites, although they expanded the zone where you can capture it from. That makes things a bit more easy. Either way, we switch sides. Miami now going to be the ones on offense. Seems like their decision is to go to B first. Is Calby waiting for his teammates to create an opening? He's still working on an 8-kill streak. Just teeter-tottering the point back and forth. Now going to start to get some progress together. Waiting for his teammates to come off of spawn. Rando finds the kill there. He's going to challenge on out. Gets one onto Smitzy. The second there for Bleepa. Q-Pan finds one as well. Map control in favor of Miami. They're going to get onto B. They're also going to try to get something going at A. But Northwood have just considered B to be chalk. They're going to start already get their setup down on A and try to get some defense together.
Yeah, and they're being a little bit slow to it there as well, especially seeing how these guys are holding out. I mean, and especially if I'm on the side of Miami, or if I'm on the side of Northwood, excuse me, right now, seeing how slow that progress on B side is going, there's only going to be one guy there. You know that Calby was the one pushing you earlier. I mean, that should be an easy pick overall, but now at this stage in the game, when you've given it up for that long and you've really choked these guys out and given an extra minute to work with, especially when they have the life advantage, I mean, that's not exactly a situation of the shoes you want to be too happy to be in. And I mean, Northwood slipping up like this, especially seeing how well they've done in control so far, I mean, I don't exactly know how to react or what exactly is going on those comms for those guys to be doing this.
Yeah, they're just going to put all their eggs into one basket at A. They give up B. So really going to be putting a lot of emphasis on this hold. So far, so good. Able to find a couple kills. Trades going in their favor, but that's a big one from Wraith. A big opening to push forward on the map. He's going to get up to the square as a player right next to him. He's going to get the drop onto Kick You. Find that kill as well. Things slowly but surely starting to piece together here for the Redhawks. Still have the streaks for Calby. He's sitting on those. Probably going to save him for the crucial moment in this game. 3 kills for Northwood. That's enough to slow down this push, and it was starting to build there for Miami. But it's just so difficult to get into A. You have to hit those long routes. And look, they're going to try to do it again off spawn.
We see them going for those long routes right now, finding a way to maneuver themselves around the map. But Kick is going to be ready for it as we see him getting a 2-piece over there in the middle of the map. We see these guys, their kind of effort to go for that long road isn't exactly going to work out for him, as we see all the guys of Northwood setting up fairly well here, getting up on the scaffolding, finding ways to just lock things overall. But with Miami getting 3 right there, they could buy some time here. Only issue is with how these spawns are set up for the defense. It makes things a lot easier for the likes of Northwood right now.
Yeah, it's something else I've been so impressed with Calby, his ability to play his life, knowing not to challenge out there. Instead, going to call in his streaks. Is going to find 3 with that last boost. A massive kicking in of the door. And Miami goes on to the point. Can they hold on, though? They have to do it here in one clean sweep. First take of progress good. Second one flying up. Everybody's stacking it. And for Northwood, they have to get on the point soon. Slushy's going to find that kill, but it's not
Holy
enough.
Shit.
The streak's good from Calby. It's enough for the Redhawks to break on through. They go up 2-0.
I mean, that alone, see, that's what, I mean, I'm surprised that they sat there and finally clicked. I mean, we've seen it back and forth so far. Nobody's really fully stacked that point. And when you see that final effort from the likes of Miami saying, at this point, we're going to have no time left, and you just absolutely speed run a site like that and get all three of those ticks of progress like that back to back. I mean, that alone is going to take a whole team by surprise when they especially see you over on B site saying, we can do this really slow. But guess what, Northwood? They can also do it really fast. So, I mean, that's something you're going to be on the lookout for going forward. And that may be the wild card right there to tip the scales in their favor now that they're back on defense.
Yeah, an absolutely massive round for Miami as they try to extend this series. Reminder that Northwood is up 2-0 right now. It's back against the wall time for Miami, and it's Calby right now who has been unbelievable, really carrying his team to this point, using the streaks last round to pick up the win. Was almost building towards another set of streaks there before he goes down. It's going to be another long run off spawn. Huge control right now for Northwood at B. They already have that first tick of progress. 3 players on to stack it. It's going to continue to fly on up. Calby realizing it. He has to make the play soon. He's going to jump on into challenge. First one good. Doesn't take any damage. Should be ready for the second. Laying down the cheeky plays from Calby. 18-9 now. Trying to get to third. His teammate in Rafe is good on the pinch. And B is not going to be captured just yet.
Wow, a lot of confidence in Rando right there from the likes of Calby to let that man get the follow-up right there in time because, I mean, looking at how close that objective was, that could have been catastrophic for these guys to get a whole minute to play with up front. But now that Miami, once again, is sitting with the life advantage, they have the time. They don't have a single objective really taken on them yet. I mean, this alone is going to play really well for them. Only issue is you got Bleeper right here kind of camping things out, playing things a little bit unique. And I mean, it doesn't really matter to the likes of Cal because this dude is just going to take things by a storm and start pushing these spawns with only 21 seconds to maneuver with from Northwood right here.
He is good for another 3-piece, and you go back to that moment where Northwood could have captured B at the start of the round. Instead, Miami swoops on in. They pick up the kills. Still only 2 ticks of progress, and it's really going to be enough to probably win them this round. Northwood just can't get out of their spawn. Calby has been streaking all game long. 22-10. He's going to go ahead and use the artillery, and maybe a bit of a waste of it there. But it doesn't matter because Miami wins the game overall. I got caught sleeping as the Redhawks sweep it here in the control. We're headed to another hard point. Calby carrying the Redhawks throughout this series. Unbelievable stuff.
Wow. Okay. Let me wipe my eyes right quick. I gotta freshen up for these next couple matches because Miami apparently. I mean, I wasn't sleeping on by any means. I've had confidence in these guys going into it, going forward, especially seeing how back and forth everything's been to this point. I mean, albeit after that hard point ended. But, I mean, these guys, they ain't done. We mentioned it. We mentioned last time these two faced up, Northwood won the control. They were trading out here and there. And Miami saying, okay, we lost the search and destroy, but we are going to reverse sweep this, especially with the 3-0 being very strong when it comes to the control. Not exactly having the best standings with that all season long and just coming out against a Titan in this specific mode. I mean, that alone is going to be scary. And only issue is they got to keep that momentum going because we saw them at the beginning of the series. We saw them on map 1 in Garrison and seeing exactly how they played that out. I mean, that alone going back to that map, or excuse me, just going into, Moscow again and seeing how they performed last time. It's a little bit of a different map, same mode. How are they going to adapt to that? I'm not exactly sure yet because they showed a lot of wild cards there in the control, and I don't know exactly what to think of them right now.
Extremely impressive performance for Miami to be down 2-0, really not having much momentum going into the control, which is Northwood's best game mode, and to win it 3-0 like that, incredible stuff. A lot has to go to Calby, who really has been lights out in the series, picking up the streaks. Like you say, we go back to Moscow for what will be a hard point. And the last time these two teams played, it wasn't long ago. If you're just joining us, it went to Game 5. Northwood won it. They did play Moscow in that series. It was a Northwood 250-170 win. They picked up the first hard point in this series here. So I think your eyes have to go to Northwood when it comes to winning this game. But after what we just saw from Miami, you can't count them out. Maybe it just took them getting their back against the wall where they really start to turn up when they know that it's desperation time. They just don't want to go home early, Mick.
Hey man, I mean, you know what they say: the time a beast is most dangerous is when it's cornered, because that's its last chance out of desperation right there. And I mean, and we see it. Even if the rest of these guys, they may. I mean, I'm not going to say by any means they're kittens, but when you look at the likes of a lion, when you're looking at Calby and how he performs, he's the last animal you want to corner. Especially seeing how well he's been doing, he's going to sit there and try the best. I mean, we sat there and saw it yesterday out of one of those star players, that being Relk. I mean, we could see another one tonight. We could see this man going off and saying, you know what? I'm heating up. I'm on fire. Let's keep this going. Hard point, just let me go ahead. Don't let me touch that point. Let me just kill all these guys. And if you run into them, I mean, if I can sit here and pop off all night, I expect you to at least get a couple picks here and there to make sure that we can keep a sight held down for a little bit.
And look, I'll be honest, I might catch some flack in the chat, but after Northwood won those first two maps, I didn't really see Miami coming out and winning the control, but they do it
you're
commandingly so, 3-0.
Good luck.
And I don't know, all of a sudden now I kind of have the feeling, the hunch that we could be going to a game 5. It would be Miami if we get there, but first it's going to be Moscow hardpoint. Things kind of space out a little bit more in terms of a comparison between Garrison and Moscow. You have Calby, who's really been the hot player for the Redhawks using the SMG. Somebody, an AR player, it feels like, for the Redhawks is going to have to step up to create some of those openings, because you know Calby's going to be there with his SMG. Is it Q-Pan for you? Who is it for the Redhawks that maybe carrying the Craig has to step up?
I mean, it's really going to be both those guys. I mean, to be honest, I mean, it's a team effort. So when it comes around to hard point, I mean, obviously with Search and Destroy, I could label one or the other. But when it comes around to, when it comes around to Search and Destroy, because you can have a man get those pickoffs. I mean, overall, I mean, I would say it'd be Rando personally, seeing how he performed last time in Moscow and how well he held down that middle of the field. But in this stage in the game, I mean, you can't just have one guy. You can't sit there, have him on the point and sit there and have swarms of people constantly berating him. You got to have guys off the field, off the points, patrolling around, making sure it's guarded just as much as you need guys on that hill getting time, because we saw it that first time around on Garrison hardpoint. Personally, I saw a lot of missed time. I saw people wandering off, trying to make those compromises. And the only issue is if you don't wait for them to come to you, you're losing a couple seconds there, which is going to add up purely just to get a kill, which in the big scheme of things doesn't matter as much, because this is an objective-based mode.
We go to Mother Russia for our second hard point. Northwood trying to close things out. Miami trying to force us to a game 5 really quick. Mick, what do you think is going to happen here? Are we seeing a game 5?
I mean, looking at how things are going at right now, I couldn't tell you. I mean, you asked me about, I'd say at 3 minutes and a half. I mean, I could sit there and give you a more definite answer, but so far I'm looking at Miami and I'm eyeing them going forward, because especially seeing how explosive they are here in the beginning, I think they definitely are carrying the momentum that they have from control right there, and they're willing to just burn that fire as long as they can.
Definitely seems like it's possible. Rando, that's a great way to start the game on a 5-kill streak. Probably going to be playing his life to work for some artillery cruise missile action. Q-Pan's finding 2 near the point. The rotations for P2 are going to be in check for Miami. They should have the spawns, but all of a sudden the hit for Northwood is going to be by the street. Q-Pan's ready for it. He's trying to pick up. Does find the first kill. The pole almost good.
That, dude. I swear to God.
With Slushy. That would have been insane. Calby's here for some more support. He's going to find that kill. And just barely the spawn still coming through for Miami. They're going to be near the point. It's actually a split spawn to work with. These players have to play their lives. The others coming off spawn have to get there quickly. Big gunfight from Rando and Kikyu. Kikyu's going to win it. Northwood was on the point, but here come Miami. It's just all over the place right now. So hectic near the point as the power position gets cleaned up from Rafe. That's a huge kill. He's going to get onto the point, but neither team can grab control right now. Make it's all over the place.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we see these guys, we didn't exactly see them to get too much time right there. We saw everybody going back and forth on those rotations, fighting around that site. And we only see 20 seconds, if that, coming out of this site for either side of the field. We already see both teams rotating and say, all right, bump this. We got to get ready for P3, because we just sat there, spent that whole time just killing each other. And we see Miami coming out on top with that, giving them the advantage from that P1, locking that down, holding it out, and just holding that side of the field. They're going to have an early start right here on this P3, and that alone, with it being a corner side. If they're not ready for this, looking at Q-Pan, he can go ahead and get some kills here and as well set up for the next point as well.
Northwood has really liked to play as a team with these rotations. Saw them trying to push through street together. Now they're pushing through the bank together. But Q-Pan is in from behind. He's the one causing problems with the shots. Enough to be a distraction as Calby comes in from the side, finding the one kill. But it's going to be good for Northwood to flip the spawns around. Did they do it too late into this hill is the question, because only 30 seconds left to fight for. Sure, they're going to get this scrap time with 20. It's probably going to be close to another even game here as they continue to go back and forth. And you're right, Mick, it hasn't been either team really soaking up too much time. It's been more so just fighting for positioning on the map.
I mean, I get it. These guys obviously are out in blood for each other. I mean, goodness gracious. So one of you got to end the match, and y'all got to get a point on the board. And right now, that's Miami. These guys need to sit there and bring this back. And I mean, when you look at the likes of it, they had a great little setup there for P5, trying to find a way, or excuse me, P4 to hold things out and really do a great job. Only issue is they let up. They don't have enough guys really set up in a single area. They're not playing those spawns well enough right now, and that's the correction that they need to make pretty darn quickly if they want to end up closing this out. I mean, because we see him holding it out. We see him doing a great job being on site. But, I mean, when it comes around these rotations, they just get picked off a little bit too quickly. And, I mean, that if Northwood finds a way to abuse that pretty soon here, it's going to spell a little bit more disaster than they expected.
And you're really just seeing how there's so much riding on this. If you're just joining us, this is the regional qualifiers. If you lose, it's over. Your season is done. Win and you get into the playoffs with a chance to keep the miracle run alive. And it's really causing both of these teams to match up well in this next hard point. That street hill, really not going to be too much time gathered for either team, but Northwood's starting to open up a bit of a lead. We rotate back to the start of things. Smithy trying to find some kills. It's not going to happen. Rando's there with the Krig. Miami should be here to maybe try to even the score a little bit. Both teams meeting up on the hard point. The spawns for Northwood are going to be the ones you want to hold on to. Calby on the hill has been so great this series. He's going to fall. And this is now Q-Pan's time to try to play for this rotation, try to get spawns for his team. Does get the gun punch, but he has to back up and play his life.
Bro, what is going on? This is a different unit than what we saw earlier. They're now slacking in points, but I mean, we see them winning in kills, and they just got to tighten up on this site. I know they're mad at these guys for taking those first 2 rounds off their belt, but they need to sit there and capitalize off these gunfights they're winning. They're doing a great job of setting up on the site. They're doing a great job of winning these gunfights. I mean, I just want to compliment some of the Miami players for being just very clean with their movement and their execution. Only issue is they have to go ahead and think of the bigger picture. Think of these next sites coming in, and they got to be better about the rotations. And Rando could be that man to sit there and, you know, give them that follow-up. It seems like he's the only one with that objective in mind right now.
Neither team was able to get a whole lot of time on P2 when we were first there. But now we rotate again, and it's going to be Northwood trying to flip the script and soak up the hill. Q-Pan's going to be on in. He's trying to find 2, but he can only get 1. Kick you good for the trade. Spawns are kind of all over the place. You still have a player in the power position. That's Calby actually trying to hide out in police department. These players for Northwood try to clear it on out. Calby, here he goes, making his move. Finds the first onto Slushy. Isn't good for a second as Bleepa should be trying to hold on to these spawns. 30 seconds left to work for on this hill. It's going to probably go over to Northwood. And at this point in time for Miami, it's time to chalk that up. Get your rotations down, set up over on P3.
Yeah, and we see him right now. Only issue is when you see Northwood already in an advantage, you need to sit there and be trying contesting time. Hell, even if it's one guy over there trying to bout time as best as possible. We've seen, you know, Calby do a great job so far doing in these like 1v2 situations. Just buying time is really all you need. You don't even need them to win it. I mean, that's alone is what they need. And we see him setting up on P3 right now. I mean, we see Northwood having to run across the maps. That's going to be about 10 seconds for these guys. That's going to be free. Only issue is they're in a deficit of 50 right now, not 10. So they need this full site to tie up the game. And they still have to set up for that next site almost flawlessly to sit there and give themselves an advantage going forward.
This is going to be a huge setup for Miami to make their way back into this game. So far, so good. Couple kills getting picked up, but the long routes for Northwood is probably what could could flip the table. I should say Calby on a 4-kill streak, trying to play his life. Poor timing as Slushy pushes around the corner, gets the kill. Teammates there, the trades all over the place. Finally, Northwood able to pick up a couple more. They should be good to get this scrap time. 15 seconds to fight for, but Calby not ready to give it up just yet. Thinking about a challenge, he is going to back down after all. Retreats over to the street spawn. It's time to rotate here. Northwood going to extend their lead a little bit more, but Miami, that was a solid hold there on P3 to make your way back into this game. Now we turn our attention to the street, and it's going to be Northwood, the first ones there on the initial time. Oh, no. Oh, the team support to slow it down. He says, you're not assassinating him just yet. almost had an embarrassing moment here on Bravo.
Oh, nasty. Okay, but I mean, looking at these guys so far, I mean, when you're in the shoes of Miami, they sat there, they gave up the end of that last point. They didn't get the rotations in. That's 2 net losses right there. I mean, great. You sit there and get 40 seconds right off the rip. I mean, that overall is going to give you an advantage going forward, but you're cashing on the fact that you get 40 seconds going forward every single point here on out. I mean, that alone, when you already get the rotations, you're not already set up for that next site. That's not going to play in your favor, especially seeing how heavily stacked Northwood is on this site right now. And if they can't almost surgically take this apart right now, they're going to have to go ahead and get set up for P1. And with P5 and P1 being so closely connected on this map, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, it's a quick rotation from point to point, not too far of a run. Like you say, Northwood able to gather some time there on the last hill, building up a lead again, up to about 60 points. Miami back is against the wall. This is desperation time as your season is almost over if you can't win this game right here. They're in on the points on P1. Bleepa
Okay.
trying to slow him, but he's not able to do it. Now the SMGs will be the next one up. Smitzy finding 2. It's going to be a 1v1 with Rayfear as he comes around the corner. Is going to put some shots down. Spawns are in favor of Northwood as Miami just try to claw their way back into this game. Eventually going to have to make a play for those spawns, and it's number 6 on the top of your minimap who's doing exactly that. The timing just barely not working out, but the players are still going to spawn out.
Oh, they're giving this
Still,
up.
though, Rando's in a big spot.
Yeah, I mean, it is a big spot. It's going to sit there, get them spawns. It's going to help them definitely when it comes around this P2. Only issue is I just don't want to see the repeated tendency we've seen so far. These guys giving up time just to fight each other. Because when you see it right now, I mean, Northwood, they are in the home stretch right now. If they get these next 50 points, whole game is over. Whole series is done for this their last round, and they don't have to worry about anything going forward until this Friday. Only issue is, I mean, you had the likes of Miami. They're the ones who are stressed right now. They have to get on the site. They're stressed to get on there. They have to find a way and check their backs so they don't get it swept out from under them. And that's a problem when you had the likes of Kiku back there ready to pounce on. You have 37 seconds left on the clock, and that's going to leave about, 143 to 7 right there. It's going to be pretty darn close for the guys. Not going to finish it out, but it's going to be there to sit there and close it out for Northwood if Miami doesn't find something quick on this side alone.
Wow, Miami, they have to fight for some of this scrap time. Can't let Northwood get that close to 250. Calby's going to be the one trying to buy some time. He goes down. Q-Pan, probably only 10 seconds. You might need to think about backing up because he's probably going to spawn out with that death. Still, his 3 teammates are rotated to the next point. They are going to have to be in a big spot here to cut down these players as they rotate over. It's a big mountain to climb for the Redhawks. Sure, you have your setup here. How long can you hold it?
I mean, that's really what it comes down to when we look at the likes of Miami right now. They have to get 90 points. Meanwhile, Northwood needs less than 20. I mean, they have to execute this damn near perfectly right now if they want to sit there and get this done. And that's just for another chance to breathe. And when we see them just almost operating around these guys, we've seen them hold down P3 plenty of times this whole game, doing a good job, getting plenty of time right off the bat. When we see Calby just operating around the field, that alone is going to be a huge determining factor for these guys. And now it's only a 50-point game to a 30. Only issue is we've seen them slack when it comes to the P4 every time. So now if we see these guys tighten up, find a way to go ahead and get over here, and when you see 3 guys not exactly rotating yet, that's going to spell some trouble for these guys going forward.
Calby knows when it's time to turn up, and he's doing exactly that. Almost up to 30 kills. He's going to have to try to get control of the rat room. He can't do it. This could be the moment for Northwood to close things out. 7 seconds left. Is anybody going to be there to try to make a contest? Rando with 2 huge kills, getting himself on the point. It's not over just yet. Northwood now coming off spawn. Another kill from Q-Pan. Smitzy is going to be waiting to climb into the sights of Rando. This is huge for the Redhawks. Only 4 seconds that Northwood need, but they continue to find the kills. Calby with 2 more. Q-Pan gets the player in the rat room, climbing onto the point. 30 seconds to fight for. Northwood can win it here. They're getting back on the point. Only need 2 seconds, 1 second. Somebody has to contest. They're barely onto the point. Rando has to play his life here. If he falls, it's all over. Smitzy with the challenge.
Oh,
they finally clean it up. Northwood are gonna win it in the end. Miami, you make it so interesting down the stretch. What an effort. Just not enough in the final moments, and Northwood will win the series. They will move on to play Friday. And unfortunately for Miami, the end of the road here for the CCL's 2021 season.
Yep. I mean, no matter what happened this season for these guys, that was the last game for sure. I mean, I loved every second of that. I gotta admit, I mean, we were a little bit tired coming here into the first game. Things were feeling a little bit uneasy looking at these records, and we kind of sat there and I mean, we always have our own picks for who's gonna go ahead and win a map coming into everything. But I mean, Miami just flipping the tables the way they did when it came around to control, when it came around to the hard point, really sticking things out. I mean, they had something. They definitely had a run going there for them. They had plenty of potential going forward. Only issue is, I mean, like we said, those little small mistakes. We see those seconds here and there. They're not grabbing, especially on P2. I will refer all the way back to that. The first time they were on P2, like right off the rip, there was so much fighting around the site. Not too many guys were really concerned about getting on it. And especially when you have Northwood already having an advantage on their belt, already feeling very confident with the whole hard point. That alone would have sat there and tied the game up, I think, there in the end. And we would have had maybe a 2-second fight back and forth, that there was just a little bit more kind of emphasis on that site that we were just lacking overall from these guys on Miami. But I mean, regardless of what happens, I mean, they sat there, by no means necessary were they sleeping there at the end.
I mean, that was actually just an incredible game down the stretch
Yeah.
for Miami to make that comeback and make it as interesting as they did. I didn't expect it really. I mean, they were down by 80 points going into that street hill, and then they're just putting together the kills. They're continuing to find momentum. It felt like for a moment there that they might make the miracle plays happen, but Northwood, all they needed was 4 seconds. They do get back onto the point, and they close it out here for our second and final match on the Bravo stream. All good things must come to an end. Thank you so much for tuning in. But I have to tell you, it doesn't have to end because there's plenty of action still taking place over on the Alpha stream. You got Seymour and Cruisin bringing the action there. The casters on the desk. They have the game going on right now, and there's another one coming up after that. They'll be having Zips Esports versus KSU Black or UAH Esports, the winner of that game. So definitely tune in over on the Alpha stream. But from here on Bravo, that's going to do it for tonight. More action coming up later on this week on Friday when the tournament actually kicks off. This is playoffs week in the CCL. And I mean, just a lot of credit has to go to both of these teams today, but congratulations overall to Northwood. They will be moving on to play in the round of 64. Mick, any final thoughts before we close things out?
I mean, I'm at a loss of words, to be honest. I just love this matchup. Thank both you teams for coming here. Thank both of y'all for giving us one heck of a matchup tonight. Thank you, Miami, for stepping it up and not letting any y'all's fans or us here at the caster desk sleeping on by any means necessary. And just overall giving us one heck of a series. And congratulations to Northwood. We'll see you guys Friday and Saturday if y'all sit there and keep kicking. But I mean, overall, that's really all I have to send off for the night.
Absolutely. It really was. Miami, so much credit has to go to them for making it interesting. But that's going to do it here on the Bravo stream. Like I say, go check things out on Alpha. But that's going to do it here. So we're going to sign things off. Thanks so much for tuning in. For Mick, my name has been Cambert. So long and good night.